electric atmosphere in Portland and inside the Rose Garden, where Trailblazer fans await the return of one of the most controversial figures in this city's history. As Rasheed Wallace and the Detroit Pistons play the Trailblazers, it's Game 2 of our exclusive NBA TNT doubleheader. Well, we know Rasheed Wallace is ready, and so too are Trailblazer fans.
You know, I think that it was a good trade. I mean, you know, everybody got what they wanted, and, you know, I think Rasheed will do good tonight.
I'm excited to see it. I think that the Rose Garden's going to welcome him back.
It's going to be mixed. Honestly, there's a lot of people that didn't like him.
I hope he gets a good welcome home. He was here for 8.5 years, so looking forward to his return.
I hope he has a great game tonight, and I expect one technical.
He's going to get 10 times more boost.
Why do you say that?
Because people here hate Rasheed for some reason.
Because the fans here are kind of iffy, but he's going to get a standing ovation from me. I hope.
How about you?
All right, with Doug Collins, Kevin Harlan, great to have you with us tonight. How do you think Rasheed will handle this game?
I think he's going to play well. I think a big part of Rasheed, he had a chance to come home and be here with his family for 3 days. They've had a sort of a strange schedule, 3 nights here in Portland. I think that's going to energize him. You know, Bonzi Wells last night came in here, had 28 points and had a great game from Memphis. And I expect Rasheed to play well tonight.
Doug, in the wake of the trade that has sent a lot of players a lot of places, what kind of Portland team do we find now?
Well, they're a better defensive team. Theo Ratliff gives them some shot blocking. Early in the year we watched them. They gave up a lot of layups. They're still heavy on the front line. They've got, you know, Zach Randolph is their best low post player. You had Abdul Rahim, who's a good low post player. So Maurice Cheeks is trying to fit that in. Right now they lack perimeter shooting, so I think that's an area they're going to have to get better, especially next year. All
right, the Portland Trailblazers will take on the Detroit Pistons. The tip-off comes up next here on TNT.
Southwest Airlines game break, Ernie Johnson in Atlanta. The game in Miami is over, and the Heat winners over the Milwaukee Bucks. Big hoop here late by Lamar Odom, putting the Heat up 3, and they would win it 104-98. 16 for Odom. Rafer Alston 23 on 8 of 9 shooting as Miami snaps a 4-game losing streak, and in the process snaps Milwaukee's 4-game winning streak. Just about ready to start things off at the Rose Garden. Let's go back to Kevin Harlan and Doug Collins, guys.
EJ, thank you very much. We are in Portland. It was a sunny day up here today, and the temperature in the mid-50s. Here's a look at our McDonald's starting lineups inside the Rose Garden, which is close to capacity tonight. We'll begin with the visiting Detroit Pistons, who come in having won 4 of their last 5. Lindsey Hunter and Billups, with Ben Wallace and Tayshaun Prince, and Rasheed Wallace playing the center position. And for the Portland Trailblazers, 2 games beneath 500. Damon Stoudemire and Derek Anderson with Zach Randolph and Darius Miles. Theo Ratliff, who leads the NBA in block shots in the middle. Zach Randolph, what kind of player is he now that Rasheed is gone?
Well, you know, it's going to be interesting because Rasheed really took Zach Randolph under his wing here early in his career, really taught him. They worked very hard against each other in practice and almost for like a big brother. And I've always said it's interesting to watch to see the first time you play against him, how you will react. So that'll be a fun matchup to watch.
Our officials tonight, Joey Crawford, Troy Raymond, and Leon Wood. And so here we go with Derek Anderson fighting Zach Randolph against Rasheed Wallace. And there were some legendary practice sessions between those two out of the public eye. Now they're in the national spotlight.
Well, that's a big shot for Zach Randolph. You come out, you hit that first shot. It'll be interesting now to see if they can get the ball inside to Rasheed Wallace. There's an early foul on Zach Randolph. But, Kevin, one of the things with Rasheed Wallace over this year, especially important, he started drifting out to the perimeter. Talk to Larry Brown. He's got to establish him a little bit more inside because he's an excellent low post scorer, and they need to be able to get that ball inside. That's what he can bring to Detroit.
No Richard Hamilton tonight. He had nose surgery Tuesday in Detroit, and he'll rejoin the team sometime on this West Coast road trip. Corkscrewing inside, Ben Wallace brings it down and can't slam it home, but it's picked up after it hits the rim. A fresh 24 for the Detroit Pistons.
Now, one thing, Ben Wallace this year, they're looking for him to be a little more aggressive offensive. He's taking a lot more shots. There's a nice little curl in the lane by Tayshaun Prince, who has been struggling a little bit. I think he's sort of wore down a little bit with all his minutes, and he's trying to get his second win. He's had 3 days here to get his legs about him. I think he'll have a good game tonight, Kevin.
The Detroit Pistons in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. The Portland Trail Blazers in 10th place. On the outside looking in the West, Darius Miles, who came in a trade earlier this year with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Zach Randolph has got 4 points to begin the game.
Well, Detroit normally a very good rebounding team, and just the relentless effort that time by Portland on that offensive backboard. They had 19 offensive rebounds in the game last night against Memphis, which kept them in the game.
Here's Tayshaun Prince, who played at Kentucky. Ben Wallace at Virginia Union. And Wallace slams it in this time, flying off the wing. He's one of the most feared players on defense, but this year his offense is taking headlines.
Well, I think Larry Brown has given him a little more freedom to take a few more shots, recognizing he does so much of their dirty work and really trying to reward him for that.
There's Damon Stoudemire feeding inside. Theo Ratliff, a former Detroit Piston, with the foul called inside. And it's on the Detroit Pistons, and this goes on Ben Wallace for the first time.
Well, this is definitely a high percentage shot, and you look at Ben Wallace on the season, amazing numbers. He's 2nd in the league in rebounding at 13, 8th in steals, 2nd in block shots behind Theo Ratliff, and just the heart and soul of this Detroit Piston team, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he sets the tone in that lane for the Detroit Pistons.
Well, since Theo Ratliff has arrived here in Portland, the field goal defense is better for the Blazers by 5 percentage points, and I can see why. The guy swats away everything inside.
Well, not only that, but he alters shots. And the important thing is when you have a shot blocker like Theo Ratliff, what you've got to be able to do is when he comes over to block shots, and Zach Randolph and Darius Miles, these other guys, got to make sure they get on the defensive backboard so you can give up second chance points.
A little full court pressure by the Blazers, and here's Chauncey Billups. And Tayshaun Prince, who emerged last year in the playoffs over then coach Rick Carlisle. Lindsey Hunter, a screen by Ben Wallace, and a rebound by Darius Miles. Here come the Blazers. They have gone 2 of 4 so far in this game. Zach Randolph. He's got 6 points.
Well, he's coming out and being very aggressive. He's hit 2 jumpers and got on the boards for an offensive rebound. So you can see Maurice Cheeks has gone to him early to try to get him off in this game, and he's off and running.
The Detroit Pistons have started 2 of 5 from the field. They boo Rasheed Wallace. Some defense by the Blazers. I think they're a better defensive team now with the 2 trades they've made.
There's no question, and what they're going to do, we talked to Maurice Cheeks, every time Rasheed Wallace catches the ball, they're going to double him and Corliss Williams and make him pass it.
Damon Stoudemire. And Zach Randolph, who played a season at Michigan State, working on Rasheed Wallace. Shot clock at 3 inside for Ratliff. And he throws one up. And now the rebounding even at 3 apiece. And here comes Lindsey Hunter, an original Detroit Piston. And Chauncey Billups, one of the great 3-point shooters in the NBA.
Well, he's actually playing off the ball now with Lindsey in the game. Rip Hamilton being injured. Normally Chauncey has the ball more, but Lindsey's going to look to make the plays a little more, free up Billups to score.
It's a 3 by Stoudemire. The Pistons have never led. Blazers have been up by as many as 3, and we're tied now at 7 apiece. Pistons have got a 3 for Billups moments ago. He leads them so far through the first almost 4 minutes of this first quarter. Here's Rasheed Wallace, and this is what he can do well. Nice rebound by Ben Wallace. No relation, lasering it inside. Billups looking for Prince and slammed in by Ben Wallace.
See, that's what I'm talking about, Kevin. Ratliff came over, did a nice job to change the shot, but then no one cleaned up the board. So Wallace is sitting there for the offensive rebound. You got to get everybody on the boards when you got a shot blocker.
Zach Randolph has an early 6. He has started 3 of 4 for the Portland Trail Blazers, who have lost 3 consecutive games. Miles, Prince defending. Rebound through the hands of Randolph off the fingertips of Chauncey Billups, and the Blazers will inbound.
Well, when you look at the Portland team out there, Darius Miles is an activity player. He's not a great outside shooter. You've got Derek Anderson, who's coming off the flu, who was 2 for 12 last night, who struggled a little bit, and Stoudemire can make shots. So this is their problem right here, is their perimeter play and their shooting.
Ratliff with the hustle. Anderson launching a 3. Rebound by Prince. And so far, the Blazers 0 of 2 shooting the 3, and the Pistons 1 of 2 with 3-point shooting. Looking to lob inside as Billups throws it away. He mans the point. How much do they miss Rip Hamilton tonight?
Well, I mean, they missed the 1-2 punch of Hamilton and Billups. When those guys score 20 points a game, they're almost unbeatable, and they're really they're scorers. So that means somebody's going to have to pick up the slack, and it's probably going to have to be Rasheed Wallace.
Randolph, a good feed to Ratliff, who tries to weevil his way inside, and here comes Hunter, Billups, and Prince. A free ball, and he knocks it in, and the Pistons have knocked in 2 from above the arc.
See, one thing about Detroit, with Lindsey Hunter in the game, he really is a good on-the-ball defender, and that's what Larry Brown wants from that position. It's a guy who can really pressure the ball. That's where your defense starts. That's why you need to get Lindsey in shape where they can start getting some more turnovers. Lindsey's been hurt.
It's Stoudemire, who has taken a leadership role on this team, and he hits a nice mid-range floater.
And he's having a good year. I mean, he's had his ups and downs here in Portland, as we know, as a lot of their players have had, but I think Damon has really worked hard this year and had a very solid year.
Chauncey Billups, who played at Colorado, and defended by Derek Anderson. No changes either way as we've started this game, and almost 6 minutes gone as they kick it back to Ben Wallace, who has the green light. Rebound by Randolph. And a timeout taken by the Portland Trailblazers. A team trying to make the playoffs for the 22nd consecutive season, but now playing with a sense of urgency on the outside looking in. The NBA on TNT tonight is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the NBA. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. By Countrywide Home Loans. Realize your dreams, Countrywide. By McDonald's. I'm loving it. And Allstate. Are you in good hands? We're always in good hands with Cheryl Miller. Cheryl, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Kevin and Doug. And the one thing I would have to wonder about Rasheed Wallace is whoever said that he didn't have a sense of humor before the game. He was sporting a Bonzi Wells jersey. Even had some time to go ahead and catch up with his former teammates, and this is what a few of them had to say about Rasheed's homecoming.
It's going to be the same way. They're going to probably boo Rasheed, but he's just going to come out and play and try to kill us. So we just got to come out with an attitude and try to win this game. This is a big game for us because we're still trying to fight to get to the playoffs.
I think that it'll be a little mixed. I think a lot of people really didn't want to see Sheed go, but I think some people wanted to see him go. I think it'll be mixed, but hopefully they won't boo him during the game because we don't need that performance like Bonzi put on last night, tonight from Rasheed.
And Kevin and Doug, after having my chit-chat with Wallace yesterday afternoon, you know what? Tonight's game isn't about redemption. It isn't about revenge for him. It's all about the W, guys.
Yeah, and he's on a team now that he thinks he can make the playoffs on.
Well, you know, anytime you go into a team that you spend a lot of time for, as much as you try to downplay it, it's a big game for you. You want to play well and you want your team to win. And Larry Brown talked about going back to Philly and what he felt like that night in his return. It's anytime you spend a lot of time in a city and you put your heart and soul into something, it's always meaningful when you go back there, especially for the first time.
Neither team made a change out of that timeout. Lindsey Hunter just picked up a foul. That's number 1 on him. The Pistons have led by as many as 5. Blazers have led by as many as 3. We've had 1 lead change and 3 ties in this game. It's Stoudemire with the shot clock at 5. Another close-in shot. A rebound by Prince. He throws it away. And Derek Anderson, Stoudemire, maneuvers and feeds Miles coming off the baseline. Ben Wallace's defense there. And Billups to Lindsey Hunter, still trying to get in shape after an early season MCL and a foul inside.
See, when you've got a guy like Ben Wallace back in the paint or a guy like Theo Ratliff, they make up for a lot of mistakes you made. It looked like that Darius Miles had a point-blank shot at the basket. Wallace comes over and erases it, and then comes down on the other end and gets an offensive rebound. Those are all hustle plays. You save a basket, you come down, you get your team another possession. Those are like 4-point swings during the course of the game if you score.
Ratliff just picked up the foul. Here's Hunter in the backcourt with Billups. There's Prince inside to Rasheed Wallace. There's Ben Wallace in there and Tayshaun Prince. And Ben Wallace with the rebound and the drive. And picked up by Theo Ratliff, who steps out of bounds. And the Pistons will get it back. And a fresh 24 with 5:02 to play in the first.
Again, Kevin, I think you see Detroit trying to establish Rasheed down in that low post. He had a tendency, because of Zach Randolph was the low post player on this team, to drift out on the perimeter, and Larry Brown is trying to establish him. In the playoffs, you've got to have somebody you can throw that ball to. If they can start out the game throwing to Rasheed and then come in with Corliss Williamson, you got a couple threats down there to challenge the defense.
Dale Davis has just come in, and a long-range shot is nailed by Lindsey Hunter, who makes it from way outside, and the Pistons have a lead of 5, again 14-9. So Davis comes in for the Blazers for the first time tonight. Derek Anderson, and a rebound by Darius Miles, who's played for the Clippers, the Cavaliers, and now with the Portland Trail Blazers. Anderson again taking a lot of shots. You mentioned earlier he was only 2 of 12 last night against the Grizzlies.
Well, he was sick with the flu or virus and really didn't practice for a couple days. You can see the rust on his game. Those are shots that he would normally knock down.
And Billups tries to dig. Rasheed Wallace for 2, and he nails that. The Pistons are shooting 43%. Every starter has scored. The Blazers come the other way, shooting 27% from the field.
Well, you've got defenders back there, Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace, both excellent shot blockers, and they're going to make everything tough around that basket. Nothing easy.
Blazers have only turned it over once so far. Pistons have turned it over 3 times in this game. Randolph drives. He has got a game-high 6 points. And here comes Prince, Tayshaun Prince. They're onside to Ben Wallace, who is averaging a double-double for the first time in his great career. The 2-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year and the current Eastern Conference Player of the Week.
Well, you know, those are things last year with Rick Carlisle. Rick really had him blocking shots, rebounding, doing those kind of things. Didn't look to take a lot of shots, and he's looking to be very much more offensive-minded this year.
It's Anderson for 3, and finally it goes down as he has started 1 of 4 from the floor.
Well, to have a post game, you have to have a perimeter offense. You know, otherwise you get everybody packed back in the lane. That's why it's vital for he and Stoudemire to make shots.
Chauncey Billups, he was the high school player of the year in the state of Colorado 3 consecutive years. Going up and playing in Denver. Prince, wide open, Lindsey Hunter for 3. Good! Lindsey Hunter's knocked down 2 long-range shots, and he's got 5 points in 9 minutes.
He's one of my favorite players. I had him in Detroit, and he was so good for us there. The year we won 54, one of the best on-the-ball defenders. We see Derek Anderson taking up the basket, but Lindsey Hunter, when he gets himself back in shape, will be a big part of what Detroit wants to do. They're going to be able to pressure the ball, maybe get out and get some turnovers, and this is a feel-good shot for Rasheed Wallace. It missed a couple jumpers, steps back and hits the jumpers, and then you make the extra pass and you get the open jumper, and Lindsey Hunter very capable of making shots, and Detroit right now in control, up 9.
Here in Portland, it's the return of Rasheed Wallace to the Blazers, where he played for 7.5 seasons. And early on, this is what Wallace has been doing.
He can really shoot the ball. He's so talented. When we talked to Larry Brown before the game, he was just gushing about Rasheed and what he's going to mean to this team. And you see his minutes are down with Detroit a little bit as he finds his way here. Field goal attempts are down, scoring. He had a big game. He had 27 points the other night against Utah, but he's really added shot blocking and defense to that already potent front line. Getting a little rest here now is Corliss Williamson and Darvin Ham checking the game along with Mike James at the point guard position.
And remaining in, Chauncey Billups and Ben Wallace. And here is newly instated Ruben Patterson coming off a nice game last night at 21 points as Ham collides with Mike James, who was knocked off his horse. Here we go now with 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. And with 6 points and 8 rebounds, Ben Wallace takes it inside and tries to work on Dale Davis, and the ball knocked out of bounds.
So that's Ben Wallace's 8th field goal attempt of the game. Kevin. 8 field goal attempts already. He would go many games last year, take 3 or 4 games. So a lot of them are on offensive rebounds, a lot of them on a little screen roll, but he's had about 3 primary post plays here early in this game.
Sharif Abdur-Rahim has checked in the game out there with Miles, Dale Davis, and Ruben Patterson. And Stoudemire remains. The Pistons lead at 21-12. Their biggest lead has been 9. The Blazers have led by as many as 3. And Chauncey Billups, with nobody on him, nails the shot.
Well, Portland's not talking on defense. You've got to communicate. The first thing you got to do is stop the basketball. And Chauncey just drove it to the 15-foot area. Nobody stopped him. Just pull up, and that's an easy shot.
Here's Stoudemire to Patterson, who played at Cincinnati. Inside to Miles. And Darius Miles, his first 2 points tonight, 1 of 5.
Those are the kind of field goals he's got to give them. Those plays around the basket, second shot opportunities, not a jump shooter, but activity plays. Great shape, run the floor, defend, get him some easy baskets.
Mike James came from Boston, and here is Corliss Williamson, one of the top scoring 6th men in the NBA. Darvin Ham, look at him cutting inside, then kicking outside to Corliss Williamson from Arkansas, who nails it.
Well, when you have to help on Darvin Ham in the lane, that breakdown now leaves an open guy, Corliss Williamson. You got problems. I mean, you got to make that guy score.
11-point lead for Detroit. Foul to give both ways. Stoudemire and Patterson.
See, he and Darius Miles out on the floor together, that's the kind of scoring that they will give them. You know, Kevin, that strong move to the basket, the good finish.
They go down low and out of bounds. 11.7 to play in the first quarter. Larry Brown, 63-year-old head coach of the Detroit Pistons in his first year, taking over a 50-win team, a team that made it deep into the playoffs last season. Coached then by Rick Carlisle, and now coaches the Indiana Pacers. Mike James, who was a starter with the Celtics and fouled by Stoudemire, but they had a foul to give. Now we're down to 8.3.
See, when you have a foul to give and you take it that early, I don't think it helps you. They still got 8 seconds here now. I'd like to see you square up, play better defense, and take it maybe at the 3 or 4 second mark. They got plenty of time. Chauncey's going to be able to break this down. He loves to pull up and shoot threes at the end of the quarter.
Billups has 5, slashes down the lane and makes it go. And here comes Stoudemire. He'll try to beat the buzzer. Good if it goes. And the Detroit Pistons lead by 11 at the end of 1 with the 9 rebounds and 6 points of Ben Wallace. We told you he is the current Eastern Conference Player of the Week and a guy who just does so much, a 2-time All-Star out of Virginia Union.
The heart and soul of their team, 29 run to close the period. Detroit in control.
Consecutive playoff appearances are something that a lot of teams hang their hat on, like the NFL Eagles or the Major League Baseball Atlanta Braves. Here in Portland, 21 consecutive years of postseason play. They're in danger of not doing it this year, as are the Blues in the NHL.
Well, this is a very proud franchise, and you see where they sit right now, 29-31, 3 games out of the playoff picture. And we talked to Maurice Cheeks before the game. He said we had 2 bad losses to Denver and Utah here at home. You know, both those teams are ahead of you. You figured switch those around and give Denver a loss and Portland 2 wins, and you can see they're right there on the door. I don't think this is a playoff team, though, Kevin. I think that they will not make it this year. They just aren't good enough, I don't think, in the perimeter, but they have played pretty well in stretches.
Pistons equaling their biggest lead of 11 points right now as we begin the second quarter. Corliss Williamson out there. Corliss with Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Mike James, and Darvin Ham. That's the Detroit 5. Dan Dickau is in for the first time for the Portland Trail Blazers with Ruben Patterson, Derek Anderson with the ball, Dale Davis down low, Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
Well, this is a guy that can score. I mean, he's a 20-point-per-game scorer, and you can see he wants that ball down the low block. The problem you have is when he and Randolph are in the game together, you get a lot of congestion down there, and that's some of the problem they had with Rasheed and Zach Randolph down there. There's not a lot of space to work. That's why you've got to have good perimeter shooting, Kevin.
So the Pistons have led by as many as 11. The Blazers had an early lead of 3 with a lead change and 3 ties through 1 quarter of play.
I mean, this guy's a career 19-point-per-game scorer. He's also gets over 8 rebounds a game. You know, he and Zach Randolph combined with their points and rebounds are one of the top forward duos in the league. So
absolutely.
Very potent. Just got to figure a way to fit him in.
Pistons have hit their last 4 shots from the field. Mike James maneuvering in tight. Abdur-Rahim was belted by Ham, and a foul called. And it's going to be on Darvin Ham. That is the first on him. Cheryl, what do you have?
Kevin, I spoke to Sharif before the game. He said that he hasn't quite hit his stride yet. He said right now he's focusing on trying to figure out what the team needs and how to fit into it, because the biggest obstacle so far is learning a new system on the fly and coming off the bench and trying to make things happen quickly. And Doug, quick question to you. If you're Sharif and you've never come off the bench your whole entire career, how do you make that transition?
Well, you know, Cheryl, it's tough because he's used to being out there for 36 or 37 minutes, and you can go through stretches maybe to start a game where 5 or 6 minutes where you maybe don't take any shots, but you know you're going to be out there long enough to get in the flow of things. You're going to be a primary offensive player, and right now here he's such a good guy. He's trying to fit in, and right now he's just going through a little bit of a change in his career, but he's a wonderful guy.
Derek Anderson hits his second shot. Of course, the big story here, the return of Rasheed Wallace. He was on the bench, but he's played 10 minutes with his 2 points and 2 rebounds so far in this game. Here's Tayshaun Prince. Pistons have won 3 of their last 4 on the road. Very high up in the food chain in the Eastern Conference, number 3 there. And Portland, as we just saw, well outside the playoff picture. 3 games in back of 8th place Denver. That is the 4th turnover, as Rasheed Wallace will check back in the game for the visiting Pistons.
Well, this is the versatility he gives you. You take Ben Wallace out, give him a little bit of a rest, and you still have a shot blocker on the floor, Rasheed Wallace. See Tayshaun Prince playing now really as a 2-guard with Rip Hamilton being injured.
Here's Dan Dickow. He came in that Atlanta trade too with Ratliff and Abdur-Rahim, and a foul as Williamson picks it up. 6th man award winner a couple years ago. He picks up his first. He's been a terrific pickup a couple years ago for this team, and so quietly does a nice job.
Well, he gives them a nice low post presence. You can throw that ball down to him. He can get to the free throw line, and he's really tough. He'll get you a double team and create open shots for your perimeter people.
There's Abdur-Rahim setting a screen as Ruben Patterson tries to drive inside. And a Piston foul that goes on Williamson. Second on Corliss Williamson.
When you look at this team Portland has on the floor now, I think if you're Detroit, you soften up your defense a little bit and say, we're not going to get beat on drives to the basket. We're going to make them shoot jump shots against us.
Abdur-Rahim, who played a season at Cal, and he stepped out of bounds. No, traveled. He traveled down low. A season at Cal, and then made himself available for the draft, picked up by Vancouver, where he lost every season, then was traded to Atlanta, where he lost every season. Now he's on a team he hopes and thinks someday can make the playoffs.
Well, he's won 29% of the games in his career. He's been in some bad teams, and let's hope for him that he can find a way to play on a team so he can get the recognition of being the player that he is.
Nice touch pass by James inside to Williamson. Hustle by Darvin Ham, who goes up. Good looking rebound yanked off the glass by Dale Davis at the other end. Patterson across the lane, and Dickow retrieves it as we approach 9 minutes to play in the first half. Detroit plus 10 rebounding. A great block shot inside by Rasheed Wallace, and here comes James. Wallace has 3 blocks inside to Ham, and they'll recock on their offense.
Ruben Patterson's got to know you just can't drive that ball in there and shoot it in Rasheed's face. He's averaging about 4 blocks a game, and there's a great inside position.
They want him inside more.
You've got to, because they've got their perimeter. Chauncey Billups can score, Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton when he gets healthy. Rasheed, you can throw that ball down to him on the block with the starting team, and then with Corliss, you can bring him off the bench. So you always have a low post threat in the game.
Blazers are shooting 34% so far in this game. And they've got Abdur-Rahim blocked by Williamson. Another turnover. Here comes Detroit shooting 52% from the field. Prince launching a 3. Dickow with the rebound. Grew up in nearby Vancouver, Washington. Oh, what a spin, and what a block inside. Count it, for 2.
He paid the price. He paid the price for those 2 points. A whirling dervish move in the lane.
Dan Dickau grew up a Blazer fan. He would memorize statistics. He would memorize players. He patterns his game after Pete Maravich, who wore number 7. And you can see Dickau wearing number 7 in the NBA. And a Maravich-like move inside.
Well, he wears number 7, but those 2 points that he got right there, he paid for. Nice move, though, by Dan Dickau, who's trying to find his way in this league. He's had a lot of foot and ankle problems, never really gotten to a chance to play much. He's getting now into the rotation. His minutes are up to about 12 or 13 a game, and we'll see what the young guys got.
Pistons have led by 13. Blazers have led by 3. Dickau is on James. They go into Williamson. It looks like Dickau picks up a foul. Vancouver, Washington, not that far from here. That's where Dan grew up, and he played for Gonzaga. And watch this block inside by Rasheed Wallace.
Again, you drive that ball in the basket. Rasheed, one of the things he's doing, he's blocking about 4 shots a game for the Pistons now. They've blocked about 9 a game over the last 8. Get that ball inside position. Rasheed is going to cover in there. And Detroit right now is doing what they want to do on the floor.
Time now for Bud Light around the league. Hall of Famer, native New Yorker Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has joined the Knicks basketball operations staff. The reigning Rookie of the Year, Amari Stoudemire of the Phoenix Suns, 20-plus points in 10 straight games. And the Western Conference Player of the Month for February, Kevin Garnett, the first player in history to win it 3 months in a row. The big ticket is something else. While we're talking about the Timberwolves, we'd like to congratulate their television voice, Tom Hanneman, in getting the Ray Scott Excellence in Broadcasting Award. Tom, one of the great voices in the league. Tom, congratulations. We are in Portland with Doug Collins and Cheryl Miller. Kevin Harlan with the seconds on the shot clock. The alley-oop for Rasheed Wallace. And a great feed from on top. He's got 6 points and 3 rebounds, and the Pistons up again by 11.
Anytime you play against Larry Brown's teams, you have to be prepared for a special play coming out of a timeout. Now, this was set up. You cleared the weak side, and they'd throw over the top. I'm telling you, anytime you play against Larry, look for a backdoor or a lob coming out of a timeout.
Mike James just picked up the foul. Sounds like you were working on that when you were at the Wizards.
Oh, anytime I've ever coached, whether it be Chicago or Detroit or Washington, you will always be prepared for a special play. He'd like to steal baskets coming out of timeouts with special plays.
Phillips has 7 to lead the Pistons. Dan Dickau barely grazes the rim, and Randolph has 6 for the Trailblazers. Those are the leading scores for the respective teams. It's a big-time 3, which is way off and picked up by Ruben Patterson. Abdul Rahim out there with Ratliff, Dickau, Patterson, and Anderson. And for the Pistons, they've got Lindsey Hunter back in the game with James, Prince, Williamson, and they've got Rasheed Wallace underneath. Rebound by Ratliff.
So you can look out again at the perimeter shooting. Who's going to make a shot? You've got the ball inside to Rahim. If they help low, which they don't, they play one-on-one. Just they isn't able to convert on the shot, but just no perimeter shooting right now except for Derek Anderson on the floor for Portland.
And that just clogs the middle, and that's why teams will just pack in the inside.
Absolutely, there's really no place to go.
Whereas Detroit has a wonderful mix of outside and inside, and that is a miss by James. And Dickau goes flying, and here comes Patterson across and into Rasheed with a foul.
Now, Ruben Patterson is going to challenge inside. He really doesn't trust his outside shot, so when he catches that ball, you've got to be prepared for that strong dribble drive. That time he was able to pump fake Rasheed and get him in the air and draw the foul. The last time he went in there and Rasheed sent it back at him, this time the pump fake gets himself to the foul line.
Rasheed will pick up the foul. The Blazers, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. The Detroit Pistons have not gone to the free throw line at all tonight. And Patterson hits number 1 tomorrow night. ESPN. Dallas takes on San Antonio. Warriors take on the Nets. Saturday, NBA TV, San Antonio plays at Phoenix. Sunday, ABC, Dallas playing the Rockets. The Lakers take on the defending Eastern Conference champion, New Jersey Nets. That's the national TV schedule. And in the penalty at 6:17. It's interesting.
Yeah, we'll see if Portland can take advantage of that. You don't want to shoot a lot of jump shots now. You want to try to get inside.
Foul goes on Ratliff, who picks up number 2. He's traveled around, hasn't he? He's been in Detroit, where they called him the Rattler. Grant Hill gave him that nickname, the Rattler, because of the way he had that snake-like quickness to a ball to block shots. He leads the NBA in block shots tonight.
Well, I drafted the Rattler, so I know him very well.
And did you call him the Rattler?
Yeah, he was a young guy who really improved by leaps and bounds coming out of Wyoming. Great shot blocker.
Lindsey Hunter positions on Stoudemire, who fell off. Randolph is back in. Zach has his 3rd rebound. Here's Derek Anderson.
Again, they're in the penalty. You try to get to the basket if you can.
No player with more than 2 fouls in this game for either team. As Lindsey Hunter goes the other way, 3rd turnover by the Portland Trailblazers. Detroit missed their last 4 shots as they set up for this possession. Alley-oop, and Rasheed can't bring it down. The Rattler got in there and was toying with the airborne Wallace.
Well, you can start seeing a little connection now. Chauncey Billups is reading the fronting of that post, and as Theo Ratliff stepped in front of him, Rasheed Wallace loves to roll out and look for that alley-oop. We saw one out of the timeout, but Kevin, just keep your eye on here. They run off Chauncey Billups off a little bit of a rub screen, and then the post up, the front, you got to get good weak side help on this. Rasheed now starting to get a little chemistry with this team.
Timeout. Tonight, the NBA on TNT is brought to you by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy, and for everything else, there's MasterCard. And by PlayStation 2.
Starting tomorrow on TBS. Jackie Chan.
Do you understand the words that are coming out from my mouth?
Chris Tucker.
Don't nobody understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, man.
Rush Hour 2. Starting tomorrow at 8/7 Central on TBS.
Very efficient Detroit Piston team tonight. 11 assists, 3 turnovers. 11 assists, 15 made baskets.
Well, they're plus 10 rebounding, and they've blocked 5 shots. So the Blazers are shooting 33%. They're getting nothing around the basket. And again, the presence of Rasheed Wallace, he's blocked 3 shots. Ben Wallace has blocked 2. So you take one of them out of the game for a rest, and you always have one back there. They get Rip Hamilton back here in the mix. And this is a team that I think is going to continue to get better and better as you get into the playoff race.
It's the return of Rasheed Wallace, the former Blazer, to Portland, who takes the shot right there and nails that. And Rasheed now in 15 minutes, 8 points and 4 rebounds. He has not been shooting that well since becoming a Piston, but slowly he is climbing up to the 20s, now into the mid-30s in terms of field goal percentage.
Well, I think the reason why he's getting more comfortable where he's getting his shots. You see Raheem backing down, and good post defense once again by Detroit. See, Detroit is a team, Kevin, that doesn't have to do a lot of double teaming in the post. They have good low post defenders. And what that does is it enables you to be able to stay out on the perimeter players and defend. The opponents shoot 30% from the three-point line against Detroit. That means they're not doing a lot of trapping and giving up a lot of open shots.
Dale Davis just picked up the foul. Pistons have led by 13. Blazers have led by 3, with 1 lead change and 3 ties in this game so far. And a player is down. That's Derek Anderson, who is writhing in pain, as you can see, at the 4:44 mark of this second quarter. Did he get hit in a pick? I never saw why he went down. Well, we know where he got hit, but we don't know why he's down.
Well, Chauncey Billups turned the corner on him. When he did, he got his elbow out. Watch now Chauncey Billups' right arm.
Yikes!
Right there as he goes around him.
I felt that over here.
Chauncey Billups is a very strong player. He's 4th in the league in free throw attempts and 4th and makes 9th in attempts. So he's a guy who drives that ball into the basket. You see how strong he is, and looks like Derek Anderson is going to be okay. Struggled a lot with injury problems, had a bad back early in the year, missed a lot of games. They waited for him to come back to see how he was going to be, and once they thought he was going to be okay and play, they traded Jeff McGinnis for Darius Miles and then moved Stoudemire to the point guard. They were actually playing 2 point guards on the floor, so they had to wait for him to come back before they made that trade to get Darius Miles.
And Doug, how do you think McGinnis has worked his way into the Cleveland lineup with the Cavaliers?
Well, I think he's done well, because what he's done is he's enabled LeBron James to go off the basketball, and LeBron is playing well, Cleveland's playing well, and they got a great chance to make the playoffs.
Isn't that something? Lindsey and Paul Silas has done a wonderful job with that team. It's Hunter outside, and Rasheed Wallace has got the stroke. Back home, 10 points, 5 rebounds. His wife and 3 sons still live in Portland, and he has spent the last 3 days with them. In fact, his wife is pregnant, and they're expecting a little girl any day now.
Yeah, Rasheed is so excited about that. He said in his own way he was hoping maybe she might have the child while he's here. I don't think that's going to happen. She's a couple weeks away.
He travels. Randolph, wipe it away, will not count.
But you know, Rasheed is an interesting guy. I mean, he is very close with his family, his wife and his children, does a lot of wonderful things, and just in many instances with his temper and things, he's just created a lot of tough situations for himself. But he is a tremendous talent. I don't think there's any question about that.
Wallace again. Now they put the torture chamber on him with the double. And the defense alters the shot. Here comes Stoudemire the other way. Portland has missed their last 4. As Damon Stoudemire, who was born and raised in Portland, feeds now to Zach Randolph, who grew up in Marion, Indiana. And Randolph driving inside and grinding against Rasheed Wallace. We told you earlier in the game, all the players on the Blazers could talk about was the matchup that we will all see tonight, Randolph against Wallace, that we never saw when they were on the same team in practice.
Well, you remember now, Zach Randolph really didn't play much last year until the 4th game of the playoffs. They were down 3-0 to Dallas. He came in and really was his coming out party, but I'm sure you've seen a lot of this in practice, a lot of one-on-one. Zach Randolph knows he's a shot blocker, so he takes that little up and under move. Normally you would see Ben Wallace come over and erase that. That time he stayed at home with his defender, and Zach had an easy basket.
So here's Chauncey Billups at the free throw line, the 6th best free throw shooter coming into tonight in the NBA, and truly one of the nicest people that plays in the league. Chauncey Billups, who is at the All-Star game playing for the Detroit Piston entrant, one of the team games. That is the first free throw by the Pistons, and here's number 2 right down the middle.
See, one of the reasons why I like Detroit in the playoffs is Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton are both great free throw shooters. So late in games when you get them the basketball, one shoots 86%, the other one 87%. So these are guys who convert, especially late in games, under pressure, and the game gets half court in the playoffs.
Wallace picks up a foul. Thing also about Billups, this is second on Wallace. When Billups is back there with Rip Hamilton, they are as prolific a scoring tandem as you'll find in the NBA. I mean, when Billups gets hot, he is, duck, because he is as good a three-point shooter as you'll see.
Well, when he scores 20 points this year, they're 19-5. When he doesn't, they're 19-20. So you know how important his points are to this team. That's why I think that Larry Brown is saying, look, if I can keep Rip Hamilton and Chauncey and get those points from the backcourt, and now I can throw Rasheed Wallace into the mix, get him down on the low post and give us an opportunity down there. Now I've got an inside-outside attack. And in the half-court game, especially in the playoffs, Kevin, you've got to throw the ball in the post. Play screen roll with Chauncey Billups, throw the ball in the post, then you can attack in a lot of different ways.
Here comes Chauncey, who was an early draft choice, was Billups by the Boston Celtics, 3rd overall out of Colorado. Tayshaun Prince, who slashes and slams. What a play by Prince.
See, he had his coming out in the party as well last year in the playoffs. Did not play much at all, played a lot in the playoffs, played exceptionally well, and played himself into a starting position here.
Boy, was he quick coming off the wing. There's Zach Randolph, the 14th leading scorer in the NBA. Darius Miles inside, and that is clutched onto by Prince, who gets tangled up with Abdur Rahim, and a foul. It goes on Sharif for the first time. I don't know if there is any way to defend this.
Well, you give him your left hand. I mean, he's a left-hand player. You got to make him dribble the ball with the right hand. Nobody comes over to give help, but you're playing a left-hand player. You got to send him to his weakness. They opened up, they gave him the gap, and nobody came over to defend.
Southwest game break, Ernie Johnson in Atlanta. The halftime report is coming up soon, at which point John Thompson and Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith will be making more points than the Blazers have scored in the first half to this point. We'll also hear from Allen Iverson, who left the floor kind of gimpy tonight in Philadelphia's loss to Sacramento. That's on the Verizon Wireless halftime report right now. They go back to Kevin and Doug, guys.
EJ, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing Coach Thompson in studio.
It was great to see Coach Thompson there in the pregame tonight.
Well, you can see what has happened to this Portland team. They're saying it is a new era, that John Nash, who's done a nice job as GM, President Steve Patterson, have taken the existing roster, which was very unflattering for the fans here. A troubled sign. There's Mr. Nash. And they have revamped it, and they've got a more fan-friendly, and they think perhaps even a better team than they had before.
Well, you know, they gave up a lot of talent. I mean, Bonzi Wells is a very talented player. We see Steve Patterson, the president you talked about, and John Nash. Rasheed Wallace, a very talented player. It's a shame you have to make deals to move talented players, because it's very difficult to get talent in return. When we were here earlier, Portland was going to try to strip the roster down basically, and in 2 years start all over. They traded Rasheed and got Raheem and got Ratliff, and actually took $14 more million in salary. So this is going to be their front line. Can they add to the perimeter to make themselves a playoff team?
Pistons lead by 17, and this is their biggest lead of the night. They led at the end of the first quarter by 11. And Zach Randolph against Ben Wallace, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year.
How would you like to have Rasheed play it, and then you switch Ben Wallace over to play a little bit? That's not what you would call a fun night to face those two guys defensively.
Ben Wallace has 11 rebounds and 6 points so far. Final 2 minutes of the first half. 3-point shooting in the game. Pistons have hit 3 3-point shots. Blazers 1 of 5 above the arc. Tayshaun Prince for 2. Rebound by Ruben Patterson.
He's got a funky-looking shot. It does go in, but again, the careless play here by Portland. It's really interesting. They had a very emotional game last night with Bonzi, and now an emotional game tonight with Rasheed, and they look very flat tonight, Kevin. As we're going to take a look here at Tayshaun Prince's release. This is not one that you would show on the video. You see how much right thumb he's got in that, his left hand, his elbows flying out, left thumb. I mean, that's a shot that you would, sort of like a golf swing that you wouldn't want to watch if you were going to go out to play golf. But it goes in. I mean, he's repeated enough to where he can make that shot.
Well, let me ask you a question. Was it his emergence that maybe sold the Detroit franchise on drafting Milicic as opposed to Carmelo Anthony?
Well, could very well, thinking they had him and they felt like that they needed to be able to add another frontline player, a guy who's going to be very, very good in the future. But, you know, it's been a tough thing for them because Carmelo Anthony's playing so well. A lot of speculation. What if they had Carmelo and Rasheed and Ben Wallace?
Wow,
but that's all speculation. I mean, you know, Joe Dumars has done a magnificent job in Detroit, and we got to give this young guy a chance to see whether or not he's going to be the kind of player they think he can be.
Blazers shooting 32% for the game. Anderson for 3, and that is only the second field goal in over 6 minutes by the Portland Trail Blazers as Billups brings it for the Pistons, who are shooting 47% from the field.
Well, that's the one guy you don't want to leave out on the perimeter.
Prince and Ben Wallace. Davis jousting with Darvin Ham. And here comes, with no fouls to give either way, Damon Stoudemire. Anderson, another 3. Rebound by Prince. Prince does a lot of things for this team, doesn't he?
Very skilled player. Nobody stops the ball. He goes right to the free throw line, and then there's Ben Wallace once again cleaning it up on the offensive board. So Portland is very flat tonight. This is a national TV game. They had that makeup game last night against Memphis. Bonzi Wells came in here. He lit them up for 28, and they're playing very flat right now.
And they call this kind of a make-or-break week for the playoffs as well. Wheeling down the lane, Stoudemire, tap-in try by Davis, won't go. And Prince comes up with it, gives to Billups, and a foul on Stoudemire with 11 seconds remaining in the half.
See, Chauncey Billups is just so strong. He just threw his body into Damon Stoudemire, but the point-blank miss there by Dale Davis at the basket. And right now, Detroit has totally frustrated the Blazers.
So they'll send one of the great free throw shooters in the game, Chauncey Billups, to the free throw line. Pistons have led by 17. Blazers had an early lead of 3 points. And Billups, we just gave him the kudos, but he blows the first free throw.
This is sort of an interesting matchup here. Dan Dickow coming into the game. He's going to give them another perimeter shooter out there as Ruben Patterson sits down. But Maurice Cheeks, so long the assistant there in Philadelphia for Larry Brown, was there with the team as they were getting good and stepped over to Portland. And so much of what he's learned about coaching, he learned from Larry Brown. You saw them before the game and the respect that they have for each other. And I will tell you, Larry Brown is a guy who has great respect for the guys who played for him through the years, the guys who coached him. He really respects the game.
Jermaine Folks has come in. Lindsey Hunter's in the game, getting screened by Anderson. Here's Stoudemire across the lane, knocked away. Phillips will try to beat the buzzer. He was hit as he throws it up. And that takes us to halftime. And Rasheed Wallace's return. He and Phillips are the only two players in double figures with 10 points apiece. Wallace, 18 minutes, 10 points, and 5 rebounds. No one in double figures for the Blazers. A 13-7 Piston run to close the second quarter. Let's go to Cheryl Miller.
Well, Rasheed, yesterday you told me that tonight's approach to this game was just going to be another game. You looked very loose out there in the first half.
Oh, definitely. You know, I knew they were going to come out excited, come double me a lot. So just, hey, open it up to my teammates.
You know, the Blazers really struggled on the perimeter. It looked like you guys were able to pack the middle.
Oh, definitely. You know, hey, give a couple guys the jump shots. Hopefully they'll miss it like they've been doing for the last few shots. And, hey, if they keep it up for tonight, then we're going to come away with the win.
I know coming into the game also one of the concerns was rebounding. You guys were awfully stingy on the boards.
Oh, definitely. You know, Portland's been hitting the boards heavy. Zach, Sharif, Theo, and Dale, they've been hitting the boards real heavy, so we got to send, you know, about 3-4 guys to the board.
Having a little fun?
Oh, yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Rasheed. Let's send it back to you, Kevin.
The much talked about return of Rasheed Wallace, who led the Portland Trail Blazers in scoring the last 4 years. Booed and cheered as he was announced today before a near capacity crowd here at the Rose Garden. It's all Detroit, one of the premier teams in the NBA. EJ up 46-29 over the Blazers as we swing it to you in our TNT studios. On a Thursday night, exclusive coverage of the NBA on TNT, and the third place team in the Eastern Conference, the playoff-bound Detroit Pistons on top of the Blazers. Kevin Harlan along with a good friend, Doug Collins. This Detroit defense is spectacular. They're in the top 5 in field goal defense and points allowed. Pretty impressive.
And they're getting better with Rasheed Wallace. He gives them another very good defender down on that low block. He can get out and he can block shots. He and Ben Wallace. But they were just tougher and more competitive. Just to follow up on what our studio was talking about, Charles and Coach Thompson and Kenny Smith, there's a toughness and a competitiveness you bring to the table. And Detroit has that. That's why they're a team that I think has a great chance in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Take a look at some of our numbers in our Ford game summary. And the shooting from the field favoring the Pistons. They are out rebounding the Blazers, plus 12. More assists, in fact, a ton more assists, and more defense inside with 5 blocks to the 2 of Portland.
I would like to see some energy with Portland here. We're going to talk about Rasheed Wallace and his return to the Rose Garden, and he's had a good return. He's got to be very happy with his play, inside and outside. He's shown the ability to step out on the floor. This was his first jump shot that he made after missing his first 2 shots. We saw part of his defensive prowess. Blocked 3 shots in the first half. His ability to post up inside. This is a part of his game he can bring to Detroit, the ability to lock and lob and go for that open dunk to the basket. And again, his ability to fade out and shoot the jump shot. So Rasheed is having a very, very good night. 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks. And more importantly, you see that he's really enjoying, you know, playing here in Detroit. Zach Randolph had a good first half, but I would like to see some emotional energy here from Portland. They need to be able to come out and compete. And Detroit just pushed them around in the first half, Kevin. They've got to come out and meet that kind of challenge.
Bonzi Wells came here last night, a former Blazer, and lit him up for 28 points, a ton of threes, and Memphis won by 9 tonight. Rasheed Wallace comes back. These 2 players both returning to Portland, both symbols of controversy and trouble while they were here. So a lot of emotion in this city, in this building. Phillips launching a 3, trying to get things started. Wallace inside. Ben to Rasheed, and a foul. Let's go to Cheryl Miller.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Well, Mochik said, look, you know, simply the Pistons just knocked down some early shots early, and we just stopped defending. We've got to get back defensively and be more aggressive. At the offensive end, better ball movement and execution. As for Larry Brown, he says, our team lately has had a propensity to forget how we build leads. We start taking bad shots. We don't get back in transition. So he's hoping that his team can duplicate their same effort in the first half, guys.
Well, you know, Kevin, just to follow up on what Cheryl talked about there, we talked to Larry before the game, and he said, you know, we have 25 losses, and he said in 23 of those games we've had a chance to win. And he said we did not learn yet how to close out games, where to get the ball to you know, when to take advantage, when to shoot the outside shot. And he said, I'm hoping this team over the next 20 games or so will be able to find that before we get into the playoffs. He says, because those are the kind of games we're going to be playing.
Stoudemire just picked up his third foul. Randolph, Stoudemire, Miles, Anderson, Ratliff, the Blazer 5. Here comes Billups with Wallace and Lindsey Hunter along with Tayshaun Prince. That sets up the players on the floor to begin the second half with 11:09 to play in the third.
Well, you can just see Derek Anderson is out of sync. He has not been able to practice. He's been sick. He looks like he's lost some weight, and he just doesn't have his game right now. And they have no chance if he doesn't give them some points from the perimeter.
Pistons led by 11 at the end of one quarter. They led by 17 at halftime, and 17 is Detroit's biggest lead of the first half. They lead by 18 points now here in the second. Portland, 3 turnovers on their first trips down the floor to begin the second half.
Well, that's sure not what Maurice Cheeks wanted to see coming out of the halftime, and Detroit is doing a nice job. They're making the extra pass. Look at the open shots that they're getting, and if they don't score, they're just beating them on the boards.
Incredible rebounding by Ben Wallace. He has 8 offensive rebounds tonight, 8 of his 14 rebounds on the offensive glass. Hunter, and he gives off to Ben Wallace, and pops on out. Rebound by Ratliff.
Well, what that means, Kevin, is that means 8 more shots at the basket you get, so you can shoot a lower percentage and still win the basketball game. That's what those kind of energy and effort plays give you.
Portland Trail Blazers coming into tonight out of the playoff race, 10th place Western Conference, losers of 3 consecutive games. Darius Miles maneuvering for that mid-range shot, which he cannot hit. And the Detroit Pistons in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. They have won 4 of their last 5 games.
See, we talked about the lack of their perimeter shooting. I mean, Darius Miles, a point-blank shot. They're double-teaming the extra pass, and Tayshaun Prince is going to get a wide-open shot.
1 point this quarter so far, and that is a turnover. Take a look at Larry Brown. He knows that back in Charlotte, North Carolina, his 99-year-old mother is watching Larry, and Larry's older brother, 67-year-old Herb Brown. Herb Brown used to be an assistant with the Portland Trail Blazers. Mother's name is Ann. Here comes Billups, and buckle up for Ben Wallace, who takes it down hard. And it's a 20-point Detroit lead, their biggest lead of the game.
Well, they're doing it with their defense, and they're contesting every pass, and what it does, it gives them an opportunity to get out and get easy scores. Detroit's next step to be even a better team is their ability to create turnovers, get some easy scores like this. That will improve their offense.
Tonight, the NBA on TNT is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters. And Wendy's classic hamburgers. It's better here. Well, the Pistons are in the midst of a 5-game West Coast road trip, 5 games in 8 days, where they are 1-1 so far. This is the team now as we look ahead, Doug. What do you see?
Well, get all the pieces to fit. You've added Rasheed Wallace, get Rip Hamilton back, let these guys play some games together, establish Rasheed in that low post to give him a threat along with Corliss Williams coming off the bench. The great backcourt play of Billups and Hamilton, and then they've got to get some scoring off their bench. And this is a team that I think is going to continue to get better and better as they get into the playoff chase come April.
Statistically, the best player on the floor, Ben Wallace, with 10 points and 14 rebounds, 11 by Rasheed Wallace, leads all scorers. Miles for 3. Ratliff tries to tap it in. Out of bounds it goes. It'll be Portland's ball. Now let's see what Larry Brown and staff have ahead of them.
You can see a tough game in Denver. Denver's struggling a little bit now, so that's a big game for the Nuggets. And then at the Sonics, and then they come home against the Bulls. They have 18 games remaining. And this is a team that's had an interesting, they've had 3 days here in Portland, and they're playing very fresh tonight. They got fresh legs. You can see that the time was good for them.
And Doug, they're practicing too, which is one thing that Larry Brown really was looking forward to. Build into this 5-game and 8-day trip. 4 days of practice, which he loves. Tayshaun Prince Rebound, Ben Wallace, his 9th offensive rebound, his 15th of the game, his 12th point as he is shredding the inside of Portland's defense tonight.
You think Rasheed loves hearing Portland booed with him playing on the other team right now?
Here's Stoudemire to Ratliff. And Theo gives back in a 3 from Damon Stoudemire.
And Larry Brown is so upset with Tayshaun Prince leaving the three-point shooter that you got 2 guys you got to make sure you get to out there. Stoudemire and Anderson make everybody else make shots.
Pistons are shooting 43%. They've knocked down 3 threes. Here's Tayshaun Prince, Phillips for 3. Rebound Miles, and here come the Blazers shooting 30% for the game. 30%.
When's the last easy basket you've seen them get?
It's been a while, you're right.
Everything's contested.
Zach Randolph. Reaching in, Rasheed Wallace. Well, they get taller with Wallace in the East. Is it enough to counter Kenyon Martin in New Jersey? Is it enough to counter Jermaine O'Neal and company in Indianapolis?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think when you look at all the teams in the East that I consider to be teams that have a chance to come out, I would say Detroit, New Jersey, and Indiana. All of them have their strengths, but they all have weaknesses. And I think it's going to be who can master weakness the best. You know, some it's the perimeter game, some it's inside. Who can be playing at the best and master weaknesses the best when it counts.
Here is Omar Cook in the game for the first time. Rebound, the 16th inhaled by Ben Wallace tonight. Lindsey Hunter, Dan Dickow is in at the point along with Cook. Here's Chauncey Billups. Finding on Cook and finds 2, count it. He'll go to the free throw line.
This is a game of matchups. In the NBA game, you're going to exploit the matchup, and what's happened right now was Omar Cook and Dan Dickow in the game. Chauncey Billups goes right into the low post, and Omar Cook cannot handle him down here. So now you've got your point guard posting, and now you've inverted your offense. So what Larry Brown's going to do, he's going to pick and choose where you can attack this team. And this time it was Chauncey Billups in the post.
6 of 10 free throws shooting tonight for the Pistons. Doug Moore, number 5 in the NBA in free throw attempts.
That's a critical stat. They score 20 points a game at the free throw line, and when the game crawls down and slows down in the playoffs, the ability to make free throws is crucial.
Ruben Patterson in the game and gallops and kicks it out to Dan Dickow for 3. He has quickly become a fan favorite here in Portland.
Yeah, well, you said he played at Gonzaga, and you know, when you think of Gonzaga, you think of John Stockton and the great play he had there when he was there. And I'm sure Dan Dickow would love to make it here in Portland with this team.
And Tayshaun hits a 3 as well, and now the Pistons have got every starter except Lindsey Hunter in double figures.
If you're going to double team, you've got to double team aggressively. And Portland is just allowing the pass to come out of the double team all the way to the other side of the floor for open shots.
There's Sharif Abdur-Rahim from Atlanta. And Dickow hit, missed it, and a foul called on Mike James of the Detroit Pistons. Second on James. We told you that the Detroit Pistons are 3rd in the Eastern Conference, and a win tonight would tie them with New Jersey. Now, the New Jersey Nets lead the Atlantic, and Indiana leads the Central. So the top 2 division winners always take the 1 and the 2 slots in each conference's playoff look.
Well, I think you can add Philadelphia to the bottom of that list, and also Washington. I think you've got teams down there now who can finish the best, could sneak into those 7th and 8th spots. You know, Kevin, you and I were going through the stuff today, and we said who's going to be 7th, who's going to be 8th, and we could not come across what we thought would be a clear-cut team who's going to be there. Who's going to finish well, and who's going to struggle in, and so much of it is scheduled, but all these teams are playing each other now to finish the season.
Abdur-Rahim is guarding Wallace and picks up his 2nd personal foul. There's Sharif, and a career starter now coming off the bench. How has he handled that, Doug?
Well, it's been a struggle. Last night he was 1 of 6 from the floor. When's the last time he played in the game and took 6 shots? I mean, and to be fair to him, do you even know he's in the game here tonight?
No, he's invisible.
I mean, you know, you've got to go to him.
He's played 13 minutes. He has 2 points. He's gone 1 of 4. Prince with a 3. Rebound offensively by Rasheed Wallace. And they keep it alive with a fresh 24. Pistons have led by 22. Blazers had an early lead of 3 in this game. And the rebounding advantage is incredible, plus 15 for Detroit. 15 more rebounds for the Pistons over the Portland Trailblazers tonight.
Hey, good luck.
5:19 to play in the third. And Dan Dickow, the quick inbound, and nails it. He's at 2 in a row.
Kevin, look over at the Philadelphia bench right now. I see Mike Woodson coaching the team. I don't know where Larry Brown is. We'll have to find out what's going on with him. Detroit bench, excuse me, Philly. That's a
right. That's
little,
right. It's okay.
Freudian slip there.
Okay.
But Larry was struggling with his back the last couple days, getting treatment before the game. Ben Wallace flies to the basket, but we'll have to check and see what's up with Larry.
Omar Cook, the rookie from St. John's. Patterson, Dickow, and can't make that floater go. Look at the hustling. Ruben Patterson, another rebound, 17 for Ben Wallace, who's one of the top rebounders coming into tonight in the NBA, number 2 overall.
Well, Ben Wallace has taken 15 field goal attempts tonight. His career high is 16. I would expect him to be able to get that tonight.
He's got a double-double, his 31st, does Ben Wallace, his 31st double-double of the season, and that's one of the best in the NBA.
You know, when you look at Ben Wallace out there, when you play against him, you know, Charles was talking in the studio, and Kenny and Coach Thompson, Ernie, toughness. That's toughness personified. He brings that in the paint every night, and you know what? He's about 6'6". They can say whatever they want, 6'8", 6'9". The guy's about 6'6", but he's a relentless worker. And what he brings to this Detroit team is that competitiveness and that tough edge that leads you in the playoffs.
He's 6'6" when he unfurls those cornrows and that hair is flying. He's about 6'10". Danny Ainge stood next to him and figured that out a couple of years ago as it traveled.
Well, you know what? The one thing you don't measure with a tape measure is someone's heart. And this guy right here has got the competitive spirit of a champion. That's why you love to have him on your team. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Dougie was undrafted. Undrafted player. A nice rejection by Wallace. That's his 3rd block for Ben. And they go inside, and Corliss Williamson is in the game. He tried to stuff it. He is called for a foul. And that is the 3rd on him. So for the Pistons, they've got Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Corliss Williamson, Mike James, and Chauncey Billups, Dan Dickow and Cook in the Portland backcourt with Patterson, Abdur-Rahim, and Dale Davis in the game. And that will trickle in for Patterson, and the NBA returns on TNT next Thursday, 7 Eastern. The New Orleans Hornets will take on the Rockets, and Houston Mavericks will battle the Sacramento Kings. The NBA on TNT, your exclusive home once again for the Western Conference Finals.
I keep waiting for New Orleans to make a push.
Yes.
And they'll play 2 or 3 good games, and they'll have 2 or 3 bad losses. And that team needs to get it together here quickly if they want to be able to do anything in the playoffs.
Both teams have hit 4 3-point shots. Billups will try to make it 5 and can't. A rebound by Ruben Patterson. Portland is on a 9-3 run right now. As inconsequential as that may sound, they were down by 22 moments ago. Now they're down by 16. Chiseling away at that Piston lead. Inside looking for Abdur-Rahim. Here comes a 3-on-3 led by Billups, tangling with Cook, and a foul on the rookie out of St. John's.
Again, you know what? When a team double teams you, if you have no perimeter shooting, there's no place for those passes to go. And when you see the congestion in the lane, we talked to Breeze Cheeks before the game. They used to have Wesley Person on this team, too. Remember, they lost him in the trade as well, and they have missed his shooting. This is a team that you just pack it in against them, and there's no place for the cutters to go.
Timeout in Portland on TNT.
Welcome back to the Rose Garden. And earlier, Doug Collins had mentioned that Coach Larry Brown had a sore back for the last 2 days. Before the game, he received some electric stim before the game, and it tightened up during this 3rd quarter. He's back there getting some electric stim. He will not be back, and Mike Woodson will take over the reins as head coach. Guys?
Hey, what is interesting is that Mike Woodson, now for a 2nd consecutive game, is taking over because Larry was ejected a couple nights ago. And so Woodson now taking over for Larry Brown. Well, I guess it was against the Los Angeles Clippers, which is 2 games ago. And he was fined $7,500 for getting tossed and ejected against the Clippers. But now Woodson takes over again. And Mike Woodson, a lot of people feel, is a head coach in the making.
Well, there's Herb Brown, Larry's brother, too, who's been a head coach. So that bench is well in hand over there. John Kuster, the assistant, Dave Hanner. So that's a team that very much in tune to what Larry wants to get accomplished. And let's just hope that, it's not going to be anything with Larry that's going to nag him for a long time. He's had double hip replacement surgery, and his back has sort of flared up on him in the last couple of days. So let's hope that he can get that squared away.
Do you know anything about double hip replacement surgery?
I think I've had every surgery. I know those double hip.
Under 3 minutes to play. Here come the Pistons, shooting 41% for the game. Detroit shooting 29% in this quarter with 4 turnovers, yet the lead has stayed very, very high. Right now at 18 points. They've led by as many as 22 in this game.
Well, Portland's just never been able to crack this Detroit defense. Detroit has done a great job of taking away any post play. We haven't seen anything from Zach Randolph. We have seen very little from Raheem. And those are their 2 main scorers. And if those guys don't put points on the board, then Portland's going to really struggle.
Detroit, 15 assists and 23 made baskets. Mike James beating the buzzer on that one, his first 2 points tonight. And here come the Portland Trailblazers, who are getting out-rebounded by 13 tonight.
Well, Mike James is going to be a guy that they're going to need to play well, Kevin. They gave up Chucky Atkins, who's a terrific backup point guard. We're going to have to see which one of these point guards, will be Lindsey Hunter or Mike James, steps up to be able to do what they need to do in the playoff off the bench. But once again, Ben Wallace, you think if the score is 20 points, 2 minutes to go in the 3rd period, and Ben Wallace stepping in to take a charge. But this is the Pistons' calling card tonight. +5 on the offensive board, +4 blocks, +8 assists. They have just had their way tonight.
13 turnovers now for the Detroit Pistons in this game. Basket will not count. Another turnover.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
I think I said Detroit with 13 turnovers, Portland with 13 turnovers, and 6 of those have come in this 3rd quarter for the Blazers. Cook and Dan Dickow maneuvering around Prince. Picked up by Chauncey Billups, and a foul on Dickow. Third foul on Dickow with Cheryl Miller and Doug Collins. Kevin Harlan, we're in Portland, and it's the return of Rasheed Wallace, who spent 7.5 years with the Blazers. And tonight, Rasheed, 26 minutes, 11 points, 6 rebounds. He has gone 5 of 9, and his presence continues to be felt. But the guy that is stealing this game is Ben Wallace, with 12 points and 18 rebounds, half of those offensive rebounds for the Detroit Pistons.
Well, he and Rasheed have combined for 6 blocks, and he's just imposed his will on this game. His 15 field goal attempts, his career high is 16. And last night it was Bonzi Wells coming in and torturing his old team with 28 points. Memphis steps in and gets the win. Tonight it's Rasheed Wallace. So Rasheed's had a chance to be home here with his family for 3 days. He's come out, he's played well, and I'm sure he's going to love to get on that plane and say, Bonzi and I both were able to come in here and do what we needed to do for our teams to get a W.
Pretty impressive. Portland was held to a season-low 29 points in the first half by this very rugged Detroit defense. Across the lane is Sharif Abdur-Rahim, 18 minutes and 4 points for him tonight with 3 fouls.
It's going to be a tough task for Mo Cheeks to be able to find a way for Raheem and Zach Randolph to be able to operate down in that post together. They both need a lot of space.
Corliss Williamson out of Arkansas. Williamson kicks it on top to Billups for 3. And Williamson inhales the rebound and goes back up for 2.
Just toughness, just wanted the ball a little bit more.
Williamson has 6 points in the game. He is averaging 9 points off the bench. That is a top 5 mark of 6 men in the league scoring. He's got guys like Bobby Jackson and Maurice Taylor and Tony Kukoc ahead of him. A 3 by Ruben Patterson. Another rebound. Look at Ben Wallace contort his body for his 19th rebound tonight.
What a rebound. Just went up and just snatched it away.
He is so fun to watch.
You see why he's so popular in Detroit.
Season high 22 for Ben Wallace, and so he's only 3 rebounds away from equaling that. In the final 9 seconds of the third quarter here in Portland, Oregon.
You might see Milicic some tonight.
He should. He's only played in 19 games. Detroit has got a foul to give. And out of bounds, they turn it over to the Blazers with 0.3 of a second left in the third quarter.
See, Detroit is just locking down in on the post. And, you know, Maurice Cheeks has got to be so frustrated because no one will make a shot for their team. And, again, no post play because Detroit is just smothering him in the lane. And Chauncey Billups with a good third period. He had 16 points and 5 assists, running his team nicely. Remember, Rip Hamilton is not here. Rasheed has returned to the Rose Garden. A lot of stories here for Detroit. And, Kevin, they've all been good.
Very good. It's been all Pistons tonight in the Rose City. Bonzi Wells and tonight Rasheed Wallace, both returning to Portland. Both symbols of controversy and trouble while they are here. Last night, a good-looking Memphis team led by Coach Hubie Brown and the newly acquired Bonzi Wells beating the Blazers by 9, 28 for Bonzi. And now tonight, the Detroit Pistons come in, and their defense, which has been terrific, the 11 points and 6 rebounds of Wallace has been helpful, but it's been the defense that has only allowed Portland to score 16 points in the first quarter, 13 in the second, and they just had a 14-point third quarter here at home.
Well, speaking of Memphis, how about the job that Hubie Brown has done there and Jerry West, what they've done with that organization? What a great story would be for that team to make the playoffs. You think that city will be excited?
The Pistons in third place in the Eastern Conference. They have won 3 of their last 4 road games. Zach Randolph with only his 8th shot of the night, but he makes it count. Blazers come in having lost 3 consecutive games. They are 2 games under 500 overall.
Well, you can see now Portland's gone to a team that they're going to try to pick up the defense, try to get out and force some turnovers. We'll see whether that can happen or not to get themselves back in the game.
This is Rasheed Wallace with that sweet fadeaway. He now has 13 points. He has 6 rebounds. He's out there with Hunter, Williamson, James for the Detroit Pistons, along with Darvin Ham. And here comes Gill, Eddie Gill, who has just been activated off the injured list, joining Stoudemire. And Randolph is out there. Dale Davis is on the floor. And Quintel Woods for the first time in the game for the Blazers. Hunter and Corliss Williamson. Shot clock is down to 4. Back to Corliss on a feed from Hunter. And Zach Randolph with the ball.
You can see, though, Kevin, once again, you know, when Zach Randolph's in the game, Raheem sits down. It's very difficult for Maurice Cheeks to play these 2 guys together. That's going to be a real dilemma for them.
Randolph again trying to work it. Davis trying to slam it. Rasheed Wallace vacuums it in, and here come the Pistons, who are trying to gather in their 39th win of the season. Easy slam for the uncovered Corliss Williamson.
Maurice Cheeks has got to be embarrassed. The national television game, and he had to expect more effort from his team tonight. I know Detroit is really overpowering them, but just easy score after easy score.
Pistons have led by as many as 22. Woods with the miss. Williamson gathers in the ball. Blazers had an early lead of 3. We've had a lead change in 3 times. It has not been very close throughout. Nice fake by Williamson, and he got Davis to bite. And pushed off, and a foul on Corliss and wipe away the basket.
Maurice Cheeks is going to take a 20-second timeout here, and Maurice Cheeks is a big-time competitor. I played with him in Philadelphia. He's one of the all-time great point guards, but watch the off arm here, the left arm, the wipe away against Zach Randolph. So Corliss Williamson not very happy about that. And a 20-second timeout, and I guarantee you, Maurice Cheeks is saying, look, guys, I don't care what the score is, compete. You know, you're looking now for your career. Are you going to fit into our team here, our franchises? We're trying to move forward. And you can just sense the frustration on Maurice's face.
People are beginning to leave inside the Rose Garden tonight. You can see how the Western Conference stacks up. 3 games in back of that 8th slot, and now to fall even further back will be the 10th placed Portland Trailblazers, who will probably drop to 29 and 32.
Well, you know, speaking of, we talked about Hubie Brown, the wonderful job he's done in Memphis. What about Jerry Sloan and the Utah Jazz this year? I mean, 30 and 30, some big wins. They just beat Detroit the other night. I mean, you talk about the team that lays it out on the floor every single night and competes.
What a reflection of their coach. And Eddie Gill lunging inside. Rebound by Rasheed Wallace. Here they come running. Mike James streaking down the lane. And the tap in by an uncovered Corliss Williamson, who puts in his 10th point with 5 rebounds coming off the bench.
I'm telling you, if I'm Maurice Cheeks, I try to get thrown out of this game. I'm telling you, I try to do something to light a fire up underneath my team. They're just walking through this game. Detroit's driving the ball down the floor, and nobody's even getting in their way.
Well, the Portland Trailblazers were well below 500. They came back to get to 500. Now they're going to be 3 games in back of 500, and it's got to be embarrassing for Maurice Cheeks.
Now they're booing here, and Rasheed, he's saying to himself, they're not booing me.
Yeah.
I mean, this has got to be a night that he's got to feel pretty good about. He's had some great moments for the Blazers. You only think, Kevin, as you look back, Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, when Portland collapsed that year after a 15-point lead in the 4th quarter, Game 7 at LA, what might have happened had they won that game? The changes they made, they traded Jermaine O'Neal, they traded Brian Grant, the whole team changed, and from there, it's just been steadily downhill.
Blazers shooting 32% from the field. Pistons are shooting 45% from the floor. Quintel Woods. And he'll dive inside and he'll find a couple points. Quintel Woods is out of Northeast Mississippi Community College. He's from Memphis, Tennessee. Rasheed. Corliss Williamson again inside, and a great pass lasered in by Rasheed Wallace.
Well, one of the most underrated parts of his game, I think, is his ability to pass the basketball. He finds people out of those double teams.
He's a great outlet passer, too. We saw him there in the half court. Nice outside 3 by Stoudemire. But the Pistons rave about his outlet passes.
Well, I like what they're able to do now. They can play Rasheed with Corliss Williamson. They can play Rasheed with Ben Wallace. They can play Ben Wallace with Corliss Williamson. They got a nice little 3-man rotation there on the front line. And this guy right here, Corliss Williamson, you throw him the ball inside, he can score.
He is carving him up, with Detroit's coach Larry Brown in the locker getting some treatment to his sore back. Mike Woodson is leading the team. On the bench, second time he's done that in the last 3 games. Gill with the miss. Dale Davis tries to go up in a foul. Corliss Williamson has shifted gears with his 14 points, 8 of which have been authored here in the 4th quarter, as the Pistons are running away, and a disgruntled Blazer president, Steve Patterson, watching courtside.
Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai, comes your way at the conclusion of this game. Ernie Johnson and John Thompson.
We can start now.
Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley.
The conclusion is already written.
It's not the. We could have started a long time ago. We couldn't.
I got the script right here. Yeah, I see the ending of what happened.
Exactly. At any rate, what do you make of this? And Doug has talked about what Mo Cheeks is going through right now, and what do you tell your team in a situation like this, Jim?
Well, I think it indicates, as Doug said, it's a difference between talent and a team. You know, they have some guys that are fairly talented guys, but they don't have a cohesive group with Portland, and that's what Mo Cheeks is going through a lot of suffering about. I mean, when you put Raheem in the post and Randolph in the post, I mean, you got guys who can't, you know, cooperate with one another. Whether they want to or not has nothing to do. It's like when I first got Dikembe and Alonzo. Dikembe couldn't speak English and didn't know what 3-second lane or post. These guys are the same way. They were 2 good players, but they couldn't complement one another until it took time.
Think about this, Coach. The greatest player that ever played, Michael Jordan, came in the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't produce and play the way he was accustomed to doing and couldn't win. These guys come in on new teams in the middle of the season is exactly like that. You cannot produce, you can't be productive the way you have been your whole career.
Well, I think they're all good players, but the problem is
Sharif, Zach Randolph, and Theo Radlick, really Dale Davis, they're all the same player.
On a dysfunctional team.
They're the same player. You know, you got to have players that are able. One thing about the NBA, you got to play a particular position. But all their big guys, they're all the same.
See, and if the team was functioning well in the beginning, it wouldn't be as hard. But this is a team that was been having problems anyway, and then you put the new pieces in, and it's totally dysfunctional because, as Charles indicates, like having two thumbs on one hand.
You know what interesting thing? It's got to be uncomfortable. It's got to be uncomfortable for Theo and Sharif and Dan Dickens because they're only there because they didn't want the other guy. It ain't like, hey, we trying to trade you because we like you as a player. And I know players think about that and they won't admit it.
I know it's got to be uncomfortable for Kevin and Doug as well. We'll be sending it back to them after this commercial break. Portland down.
Y'all can go home. Go ahead, Doug. Go ahead and take it in.
What did he say? The NBA on TNT is brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. M.E.M. Pictures Walking Tall, starring The Rock in theaters April 9th. By the United States Marine Corps, the change is forever. And by Hyundai. When your car comes with America's best warranty, you win. Hyundai. A beautiful view of downtown Portland, Oregon, and a tough set of numbers to see for Sharif Abdur-Rahim. Look at all those points and not a single postseason game to boot.
Well, he's been on some bad teams, unfortunately. And, to follow up on what the studio was talking about, it's one thing to make a trade when you feel like you're making a trade to try to get better players or as good of players to improve your team. But this Portland situation reminded me of Washington a few years ago. They had Rasheed and Chris Webber. They thought they had to make some deals. We've got to make deals. And you make a deal with Rasheed, you get Rod Strickland, and Harvey Grant, you trade Weber, and you get Mitch Richmond. And it's hard when you feel like you have to make deals, Kevin, to try to get value in return. And I question Portland making this deal to take on that extra money down the road, because this is a middle-of-the-road team at best, and this is what they're going to be living with over the next couple seasons. And I don't know that they're going to be a team that's going to be able to make the playoffs.
I think you're right. Mike James knocking in a three. Pistons tonight, 5 of 15. Above the arc, Blazers, 6 of 15. Inside they go. Dick out, couldn't get it, but Sharif Abdur-Rahim stuffs it in. He's got 6. Leading scorer tonight, 16 points from Chauncey Billups. Leading rebounder, Ben Wallace, 19 rebounds with his 12 points. Only one Blazer in double figures, 11 for Zach Randolph. And he has been a non-factor in the game. Rasheed Wallace with 3. Rasheed tonight, 35 minutes, 12 points. 35 minutes, 12 points, and 9 rebounds.
Going to get our first look here at Darko Milicic. I'm looking forward to this. Kevin, it's been a tough situation for this young guy. He's sandwiched in between LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony, who are having brilliant rookie seasons. And all he's been hearing is how Detroit should have taken Carmelo Anthony, and I'm looking forward to watching this young guy. I've heard a lot of good things about him, and we'll have to see how he performs here tonight in some spot minutes.
And it is pronounced Milicic. They go inside with Sharif Abdur-Rahim. No, you were right. But we've heard a lot of Milicic from a lot of people. It is Milicic. He hasn't played that much. It's only the 20th NBA game, Doug, he's played it.
Well, he's learning. He's a very, very young player, and he's learning the physical strength that's necessary to play. And we see Tayshaun Prince go down as he tried to go baseline, but the strength that you must have to play, the competitiveness that you must bring every single night. You're on a very good team, a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals. Your front line is Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace now, and Corliss Williamson. Not a whole lot of minutes. You've got to make every practice day like your game day. You have to every single day say, when I leave the gym, I'm a little bit stronger, I'm a little bit better player.
He's got the perfect coach to bring him along. Eddie Gill picked up by Tayshaun Prince. Rebound by Darvin Ham, who has played all over the globe and has seemingly found a home now with Detroit. He's bounced around a little bit. Looking now for Tayshaun Prince. Mismatch on Gill size-wise. James launching a three. Tremaine Folks with the rebound.
See if we can get Milicic a touch here. Let's see if we can get him. I want to see him shoot the basketball. Roll out there and let him shoot this jump shot.
He's a 7-footer. That's a miss by Tayshaun Prince. Dan Dickow. And Sharif Abdul-Rahim into a double team inside. Dale Davis kicks it back on top for Quintel Woods. So the Detroit Pistons will win their 5th game in their last 6 as Woods hits again. Quintel Woods has come off the bench and he's got 8 points all in this quarter. 8 points in 10 minutes for the Portland Trailblazers.
Well, he's a guy that can make a shot. I think they're trying to figure out how he can fit into the scheme of things here. Can he defend and do the things necessary that's going to help you be out on the floor? But he can make a shot.
Folks. And Prince. And the Portland Trailblazers have another loss circling over them. It'll be their 4th consecutive loss. And they'll drop 3 games below 500.
I think these 2 losses, coupled with the Utah-Denver losses at home, I think officially closes the door on their playoff hopes.
Well, and that's so emotionally damaging, too, against Bonzi Wells and against Rasheed Wallace, 2 guys that they thought their team could get up for, and they have fallen flat, and they are unraveling, and it's a tough time for 3rd-year head coach Maurice Cheeks as we take a break from the Pacific Northwest. If you go back to 1984, the top 3 picks, Hakeem Olajuwon, Sam Bowie out of Kentucky, and Michael Jordan out of North Carolina. And of course, Portland could have taken Jordan. Houston could have taken Jordan. And now you've got kind of the same feel for this draft with James, Milicic, and Anthony.
Well, I think time will tell. I think it's unfair for us to try to gauge this Milicic right now. He's not getting any playing time. His will be a work in progress that we'll see somewhere down the road. But they had a great article in the Sporting News this week about sort of dreaming of Michael Jordan had he been drafted or had a Blazers uniform on number 23, and the thought of him playing with Drexler and how many championships those 2 guys have been able to win together. It's always nice to dream, but there's always a reality, and the reality was he won 6 championships for the Chicago Bulls.
And they would have had a good coach here, Rick Andelman, who is the coach, and that brought that team to the finals a couple years, one time against Jordan.
And now he is doing a wonderful job in Sacramento. They win tonight in Philly, so they're playing great basketball with Chris Webber back. Here we go, the big guy's going to touch it. Let's see what he's got here in the post.
Ooh, nice spin move by Milicic. That looked good, you're right.
Nice little soft left-handed touch, good quick feet, nice spin move.
I guess he had a workout that was just eye-opening and jaw-dropping before the draft. That sold Joe Dumars, who is the guy who drafted him.
Well, Joe Dumars has made some great decisions in his time with Detroit, so let's give this a little time before we judge it too soon.
Plus, as Joe says, I'm building 3, 4, 5 years down the road. I'm not building for just right now, although the team he's got right now is very good. This move by Milicic was pretty impressive.
Well, look, quick feet, the nice spin, great extension, the good soft shooting touch. Go back to him one more time. Let him get another catch down there on that block.
Rasheed tonight, 13 points and 9 rebounds for the Detroit Pistons, who had 5 players in double figures, led by Chauncey Billups' 16 points. Get a chance to see tomorrow's NBA stars in action. Tune in every Monday to the NBDL Game of the Week, only on NBA TV. NBDL is where Dan Dickow played for a couple years. Way outside, a miss by Folks, a hustle by Ham.
What league was it that Joe Jellybean Bryant had 18 last night in that game? I mean, the part owner, he went out and played. What league was that?
That's the, what league? I don't know. It's
Joe's
not the
49 years old.
Is it the CBA? No, it's not the CBA, is it?
I don't know what it was.
Milicic, look at him back his way inside and cough up the ball.
The score of the game sounded like the freshman rookie game, or freshman sophomore game that I coached in 142 something.
Oh, Milicic with the block on Dickow. Detroit stays right in there on this 5-game West Coast road trip. They'll go to 2-1. And overall, they'll go to 39-25. They are one, Doug, of 6 teams in the NBA with the winning road record, 18-15 for the Pistons on the road. And on the return night of Rasheed Wallace, and I don't think he's going to have but one teammate go over there and say hello to him. They'll have one more. Dale Davis will come over too, along with Ruben Patterson. Last night, everybody from the whole team went over and shook Bonzi Wells' hands.
You know, Kevin, it's interesting. Rasheed has always been a popular player with his teammates. His team, the guys who've played with him have always said they've enjoyed their time, and you see Maurice Cheeks giving Rasheed a hug. And again, what a difficult situation is it a franchise to trade players because you think you have to. I don't know many situations you ever get that kind of value in return, and that's what Portland's going to go through right now.
Let's go to Cheryl Miller.
I'm doing good, so thank you for asking, Chauncey. First and foremost, I don't think there's a player or a coach that doesn't like to come back and get a W against his former team. What do you think this means to Rasheed?
Oh, it's everything. I mean, he's been looking forward to this. You know, he was so hype in the locker room. I was just trying to find a way to calm him down a little bit. So we went to him early, got him going, and it's everything. I mean, I'm happy for him. You know, that was our whole focus, was getting back on track and win this one for Sheed.
You know, it's been interesting because Larry Brown said that you guys sometimes have a propensity to forget how you belt leads. That wasn't the case in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, we just stayed focused. I mean, Utah snuck up. You know, we had a lead on them, and they snuck up and beat us the other night, so we had a sour taste in our mouth. But today we learned from that. You know, we had them down, and we just kept them down. We kept on playing the same way, you know, that we played to get that lead.
No Rip Hamilton, but you had some other people contribute.
Right. I mean, we're without Rip Hamilton and Mehmet Okur, but you know, this team is very deep. We got guys who are very capable, and they come in and just play their role, and you know, we just keep it moving.
Congratulations, boss man.
Thank you.
All right, listen to over you, Kevin. Doug?
All right, Ben Wallace tonight, 12 points, 19 rebounds, and 4 blocks as the Pistons win their 5th game in their last 6, beating the Portland Trail Blazers 83-68. Blazers have lost 4 straight games. The NBA on TNT returns next Thursday, 7 Eastern, as the Hornets take on the Rockets and the Mavericks battle the Kings. Once again, TNT is your exclusive home for the 2004 Western Conference Finals. Now for Doug Collins and Cheryl Miller, Kevin Harlan saying so long. We'll take a break, then take you to Atlanta for Inside the NBA. Good night from the Pacific Northwest.